What's good, people? How are we doing? How are we doing? Ooh, that looks phenomenal, doesn't it? Whew. That looks phenomenal, right? I'm looking to probably save this live. So last time, obviously, my phone died, and it wasn't very helpful because I didn't finish what I was saying. I've got you guys propped up as well, so hopefully we can kind of see what's going on here. Can everybody see the chart? Okay, I'll just take a quick look at the phone. Obviously, I won't really be responding to messages that much, as quite clearly I'm kind of set up here. So I'll take a quick look. But can everyone hear me okay? Can everyone see the charts okay? Okay, what are we doing? We good. There's a lot of you on here considering it's it's a Wednesday morning. Who called you a white boy? I don't know. It's probably just me, isn't it? If people want to make it personal, we can go personal. That's cool. We can make it personal. But everyone can hear me. Cool. Let's start again. Time is very valuable. Let's not take too much of it. There was so much on the charts that I didn't really know how to get it out to you guys as much. So again, please, if people come on here late and then start asking for currency pairs, it's not their issue. You've jumped on nice and early, so I'm going to set this up. Let's make sure the screen is okay, nice and clean. Oh, there we go. Hopefully that should be pretty good there. Should be pretty good. This thing falls, I apologize, but you know, I just wanted to give you the best opportunity looking at this chart here. Cool. The US dollar, let's talk about the US dollar, because obviously NFP caused a bit of a reaction, and now I truly believe that as soon there was a 50-50 between institutions. All right, I have Bloomberg Terminal. I am able to see what's going on behind the scenes here as well. And there was a 50-50 on that. So it wasn't only retail traders that maybe lost out on that. Big institutions did lose out on that NFP as well. And I do believe that actually there was a low liquidity, which caused that shift in momentum. So you had kind of a double catalyst there. You had NFP that came out relatively strong, in comparison to what they forecasted it to be. But if you dive deeper into the actual stats, obviously the unemployment increased, and 80,000 of those jobs were actually kind of, they weren't full-time employment jobs. So the actual stats were a little bit fabricated. And we can see that playing out in the charts, okay? So this is the DXY. We obviously had that rally straight in towards 97.50. You're probably going to find it a bit hard to see the numbers, so I'll keep saying them. 97.50 is a major level of rejection for this currency pair. We've had some de-acceleration on the 4 hour. Can you see how small these candlesticks are, right? Candlesticks are very, very small, which is showing and suggesting that you've got the low liquidity, providing us straight up into a major key level. Now, interestingly enough, we've got the Fed speaking today, don't we? We've got the Fed, FOMC, we've got Powell testifies as well later on today. FOMC, obviously they're looking at cutting some interest rates due to that global slowdown. And therefore the technicals are lining up pretty much perfect with it as well. Slightly higher than I would have preferred if you were using maybe like a Fibonacci scenario or any of these moving averages. However, you're still in a triple top scenario up here with significant lower high, and lower high. So my overall bias on this is bearish, and there is a lot of obviously guru talk right now. The US dollar's doing this, the US dollar's doing that. The higher time frames are still looking like they're going to absolutely tank out the sky. All right, now remember, if you are ever confused about certain time frames, if you are ever confused about maybe certain directional biases of a pair, step the time frame up, see the bigger picture, and let's grasp what is really going on in this whole scenario. All right, so this monthly time frame here is looking extremely bearish. You've got multiple wick rejections on the DXY with a huge bearish engulfing candlestick on that monthly, which all we've done is just come and retest the liquidity point of 97.50. The weekly, obviously we are creating the lower high scenario. We've got fundamentals tonight that could be the volume catalyst to actually increase that continued downside momentum on the DXY. Now, obviously, we like to work with equally weighted moves as well. So if the market's going to move this amount of pips in a certain direction, it's then going to move this amount of pips in the continued direction as well. So if we measured that initial move from here to here, and then we duplicated the height and size, can we see how that's almost actually come to perfection with the equally weighted move from here to here? We've then taken that from here to here, and it's the same movement. You then take it to this next leg of the lower high scenario, and we are looking at making a new low, or at least retesting this 96. Okay, so we're combining two or three things here. We've got the higher time frame piece of analysis on the DXY, which is extremely bearish. We've got level placement, major level placement here, of which we've come and reacted to a liquidity point on the higher time frames. We've got the swings, lower high, lower high, lower high. We are now in our third drive of that lower high scenario. So we are now looking for our highest probability of execution on that third wave drive to actually find some form of decline on that DXY. Okay, so there's lots of things going on here, and technically this is why I'm suggesting we are looking to push to the downside. My favored currency right now is USD Swissy. All right, USD Swissy is my favored one. What really does my nut in though is the swaps on the on different brokers. You've got the swaps, you've got the exchanges, you've got the charges. USD Swissy is a bit of a nightmare for that. The first thing I'm going to do before I do all of this, I'm going to layer this chart up again for you. We are once again quite clearly in a higher time frame downtrend. The monthly time frame, you've got this nice tweezer top reversal with the bearish engulfing, also a shooting star, indicating downside pressure. You've got the bearish follow through, and often we like to move in waves of 3, right? So we've had 1, 2, and we've got the downside potential of around 0.9550. Okay, if you're writing anything down, 0.9550 is the downside potential for USD Swissy. So there's a lot of room to go on this, potentially about 400 to 500 pips. So the higher time frames are very, very bearish. The weekly time frames obviously had the bearish leg. We've had the retracement after breaking on the weekly EMA. Okay, so this is where we are going to use moving averages. The weekly EMA 50 is an institutional one, right? So we've broken below it and we've pulled right back in to test it where we are right now. So the weekly EMA is rejecting as well. In alignment, the 50 EMA is also in the exact same position on the daily and the weekly. And if you do one more thing to this, if I change this to a 200, I change this to a 200 EMA, we are also being capped right above it as well. So you've got institutional moving averages there that help guide you in terms of where the directional biases are going, all at a certain price point, which again, if you can't see this, 0.995. 0.995. So you've got major psychological level in there. You've got lower high drives. You are still within Fibonacci sequence. You've got 3 major moving averages that are capping you as resistance. Change that back into 50. Capping you at resistance on multiple different time frames, and therefore we are looking for a reaction right now. I mean, what we're still in as well, if we took a cheeky little ABCD type of play, we are still within the sequence here. In between our golden ratio region of around 61 and 71, we've tapped the 78%, so we've actually got another confirmation of reversal there as well. Therefore, technically, there is nothing else I could do on this currency pair in terms of technical analysis except for look for something like that. So it's a huge risk to reward. I'm in it from the high. I've got multiple positions on this scale. Apologies. Got multiple positions on that, scaled in from the high, okay? So we've got multiple positions and reversals. We are looking at around a 1 to 8 risk to reward ratio on this. This trade is still valid. I will give you that till 0.9980. 0.9980, where this little level is over here. Let me do it on this type of time frame. 0.9980 is still valid for a reversal on here as well. So multiple confluences on USD Swissy for a sell-off. We've had the 4-hour time frame as well. Big rejection already. Big rejection already. We've got multiple opportunities on this. I would never want to sell after something like this, okay? This is the 4-hour time frame. A lot of you may have been taught to wait for confirmations on a 4-hour time frame, whereas most of the time the move's already happened, right? We are always trying to attack the market at the highest point and the lowest point. Attack where others are fearful, and when others are getting greedy, that's when you want to be taking the profits. And you can put that into life in general as perspective anyway. But what we're looking at here on the USD Swissy, again, you've got all the high time frame reasons why we're trying to sell it. You've got the DXY as to why we're trying to sell it as well. Then you've got the 4-hour time frame here that is suggesting that we are bearish pressure. My personal preference is going to be a break below 0.99. 0.9900 is going to give me that confirmation, and I expect that to maybe happen today with the volatility that increases. A nice daily break below here would then give me the confirmation of reversal, okay? And then we can look for a retest back up in towards 0.99, and then we look to execute upon here. Okay, so we look to execute upon here, come to retest the previous lows down here. If not, come in to fulfill the fib. 0.9600 would be a great level. You've also got 0.9550, an extra 50 pips down there that you could look to target on USD Swissy as well. Okay, Euro USD, something that I really like. A little bit of deeper analysis on this. I'm not going to go into the whole detail here, but I am long on this, okay? I am long on this. I'm in it from the wick spike down here. I got stopped out on Friday. That's not a problem. I got stopped out on Friday, so I've come in to attack it again. What we can see on Euro USD is we have had that release of pressure. I'm going to do this slightly differently, okay? I'm going to flip this chart upside down. Okay, I'm going to flip this chart upside down. Don't ask me why, but I'm flipping the chart upside down. Now, what we can see here is actually this helps us indicate price slightly better. All right. Often human psychology, we see sell-off positions far better than we see buy positions, and this is why I'm looking at this in a relation to left shoulder and potentially creating a right shoulder with the double top up here. Okay, life suddenly becomes a lot easier when we can see it from a different perspective, or we can look outside of what we are always indoctrinated to see and actually view it from maybe a different angle, different perspective in life. And we can see this from Euro USD, that flipping this chart upside down gives us a different perspective on the currency pair. And actually, if I saw this from a sell-off position like I see it on USD Swiss, it would actually look a lot more enticing than if it was just generally the buy position in itself. So we're coming into a right potential shoulder here, and I think we can actually have some momentum from here. So I'm going to flip the chart back up into the normal way, and we can clearly see that actually it looks better on a sell than it does a buy. But buy equals sell and sell equals buy. So what we can see here, we have this nice little formation play at the moment. Yeah, ending diagonal, ending flag that we've just broken out of. We've just broken out of over here on the 4-hour time frame. So I would fully expect if we can get a retest of any sort, maybe something into here. Let's see what the 1 hour is saying. We're being capped at the moment with the 1 hour 50. If we can maintain above the 1 hour 50, then we're probably just going to rock it on this currency pair. If we can get a retest of the actual channel break, then I think that would also be a good entry for us to consider. So keep Euro USD on your chart list. There's a lot more potential to the upside than there is to the downside. That's my personal opinion. Okay, there's a lot more potential to the upside fundamentally. The Eurozone's looking at growing the fastest pace at the moment. And obviously we've got a lot of fundamentals coming out as well. So I am looking for Euro USD to go to the upside. I think in an entire swing, we could be looking at a move back towards 1.1450, if not 1.5 on Euro USD. Yeah, and we've had the initial break. We are being held up on the 1 hour by the 50 EMA here. If we can get the retest of the actual ending diagonal break, or the ending flag, pennant, whatever it is, it's all the same, then we can look for the upside momentum to occur. Okay, so Euro USD, I'm definitely looking to the upside. Any of the other ones is Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar piques my interest massively. Okay, very similar pattern. You've got the head and shoulders pattern playing here. Okay, you've got the neckline that you're taking from this point into here, and then you've got your third touch of head there. Okay, so you've got left, head, and then right. And we can currently see that we are reacting to a certain level of around 0.6900. So I would fully expect Aussie dollar to maybe stall around this level here. This is still valid, by the way, even if it pops back down to around about 0.6867. 0.6867. Aussie dollar is still valid to potentially push back up because of the sequences that it's created. We are looking for a failure. Okay, we are looking for a failure of a higher low in this scenario over here to then drive us higher. We could look for a much deeper push back in towards the 0.7175 level if we do get that reaction. The higher time frames, the weekly is a little bit indecisive. The monthly is still very aggressively pushing to the upside, and we've just wicked into, once again, a high area of volume and liquidity. Okay, 0.69 between 0.6850 and 0.69 is an extremely strong level that we could look to reject. So from here, I am looking at this little highlighted green zone to hold. You've got some strong play on the 4 hour here. You've got a nice little hammer. If you know how to react with a hammer, we could potentially be taking the high of it, breaking it down onto the 1 hour, look for some form of execution, or we are looking at a secondary pass in and around this area in here. But essentially, I favor the US dollar to weaken today, leading into the next couple of days as well. And we can actually get that extension leg back to the downside on that US dollar. So Aussie dollar and then New Zealand dollar is my favoured one in here as well. We had the news announcement that spiked it exactly into a region of price that I wanted it to come into. Mid-level region of 0.6575. I'll repeat that again. A mid-level region of 1.675. Okay, if you take a nice little kind of significant high low in them, what you can see is we're playing out potentially this. All right, so the 4 hour has reacted beautifully. We've got a nice little pin bar. I personally wouldn't like to take something here, but I would like a secondary test. A secondary test of around 0.6575 would give me that execution to push to the upside based upon the US dollar. This isn't necessarily straight Aussie dollar or New Zealand dollar strength coming into play here. I just believe that they will start to introduce a slowdown in their pace with the interest rates. Oh, bless me. And start to cause some indecisive behavior, which obviously the market reacts to quite negatively and will cause a rally in a lot of these US dollar based pairs. But more importantly, what I found out is actually my exotic currency pairs was more exciting for me. Oh God! Right, the exotic currency pairs are more exciting for me. Euro, Aussie dollar. Let's start with this one. Euro, Aussie dollar. Euro, Aussie. Perfect. Right, can everyone see this okay? Let me just catch up on the chart, see if everyone's talking all right. Mess with the pound. That goes with pretty much most things, just because the pound just isn't worth my time, energy whatsoever. Cool, so I was just looking at the comments. Let's carry on. Now, I'm really excited because obviously the exotic currency pairs right now are my favoured. And oil, we can look at oil, but it's slightly indecisive where it is. But exotic currency pairs right now, is everyone still okay? Let me try and move this a little bit closer. Everyone's still good. Let's go on to exotics. Right, exotic. So Euro Aussie dollar is probably my favoured currency pair at the moment, which I'm looking at. We've had the nice spike up into the region. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you what pattern this is. We can quite clearly see it. I have highlighted it since the start of last week. All right, we called every move on this so far. And therefore, there's no reason why I'm going to not continue to call my moves on it. We had the nice, if we take that, let me get rid of a few of these lines. This, so nice and clean chart. So what we obviously had the trend line starting from the wick here, attaching it to the secondary reaction wick here, and we broke. We had the full confirmation of break here with a Marubozu candlestick, 90% indication that we are going to have continued momentum. All right, so we are now looking for that. We can see how we wicked and retested. Now, if you go back into John Dory trades, if you go back into Swing Kings, what you will be able to see is the initial analysis of the retest in here, and then the rejection pushing us back to the downside. And we had that first initial movement. I then highlighted that we are looking for a right shoulder to pop back up, and this is exactly what has happened now. If anyone knows me well, what did we have at the base here? We had spinning tops, we had double dojis, whatever formation you saw first, it indicated that we were pushing higher, and now we are reacting. So now we're back up into the high here. I will be looking for it to drop out the sky, if I'm completely honest. I will be looking for it to drop out the sky. We've already retested 1.62, which is a major level. I know that there's a lot of orders going to be placed in and around 1.6250. So my initial thought is we probably won't even get up to there. All right, we may not even get up into there. We've got the fast, rapid momentum to the downside, and all we've got to do here is look at the higher time frames once again. We've rallied at a high over here. 1.63500 has been a multi-year high. It's been like a 10-year high. So we're obviously going to have some form of problem here. All right, since 2011, 2010. 9-year high, 10-year high, we're struggling at. And we've had another full body candlestick closure. You've got the evening star formation with the Marubozu closure snapping below structure. So we were destined to have the follow through that we had through the next week. We then hit a form of support that pulled back up into the right shoulder. So I won't take any much more of your time, but we are basically looking for a short position out of this yellow box. And this is a huge swing because we need to come and then break the neckline. If we look at this, the neckline is currently holding as that. So I can get rid of this. The neckline is currently holding as your left shoulder ahead and then the right shoulder, and we're looking for a big drop in momentum to push us back towards 1.57500. Okay, so huge amount of pips there. It's a pretty tight risk to reward. I've managed to get in at the high. I'll show you the screenshot a little bit later because apparently that's a thing these days. And so you're looking at a 1 to 6.5 risk to rewards from here, and then we are again just a higher time frame price. Pattern plays are all involved in this. Very, very simplistic price action. You don't need to overlay with any of this stuff. The higher time frames are showing us what we're doing, and often you can correlate these exotic currency pairs with the major currency pairs in a way that if the US dollar often weakens, that increases the things like Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, gold, and that helps obviously these exotic crosses in a way that these are predominantly exotic based. Okay, this isn't a euro-based currency pair. It will react sometimes to the news, but it is more responsive to the Australian dollar. The same way Euro NZD or GBP NZD or GBP AUD, they are more responsive to the exotic cross than they are to the major cross. Okay, so that is Euro Aussie dollar. We are looking to the downside. Euro NZD pretty much hit to the absolute perfection. If any of you know my good friend, BS Apps, give him a follow. If you don't, I'll shout him out later on. Ben, I'll be with him. Very, very good friend of mine. He identified me on this in terms of nice little 4-hour play. You don't need too many different currency pairs. I go through a lot to cater for everybody's needs. But essentially, can we see again, Head and Shoulders have been phenomenal for the last, last couple of setups really. You got the left shoulder, head, right. We then pushed to the neckline, broke the neckline, and we rallied straight in towards, once again, a liquidity point. Okay, I know the chart's gone a bit funny there. So what we were looking at, we had the execution around 1.7055. 1.7055, that's not even kidding because again, you've got a simple play here. You've got the last significant high into the most significant low. This is a change of structure. Once again, change of structure. We were creating a series of highs and lows, weren't we? Higher low, higher high. Higher low, higher high. We then broke below your last significant higher low, creating a change of structure. So inevitably, once you've made a new low, we are then 75%, 80% likely to pull back up and retrace back in towards a liquidity point between 61 and 71%. And we've had that nice retracement and we've tapped the 61% to the absolute perfection, okay? Upon the news announcement yesterday, and we've already retraced a good 60 pips or so from the initial tap on the entry there, okay? So we are looking at this thing retracing back towards 1.6700, but if you are trying to long any of this, I think the long opportunities have now been fulfilled, and we are now looking to turn around in compliance with, once again, the higher time frame analysis here. The monthly time frame is disgustingly bearish. That's all you've got to look at on that, and you shouldn't really be trying to trade any time of long term against that. God, there's so many lines. So this is GBP, Euro NZD, by the way. So this is extremely, extremely bearish. And then I imagine in 3 months, if you held this for 3 months, I want someone to do it. Just do it and then take a screenshot of me saying this. Hold it for 3 months and let me know if we hit 1.6285. 1.6285. I think Euro NZD could eventually come and revisit that down there, which you're looking at over 1,000 pips. Couple of months, set and forget, stick a 0.01 on it and just, let the analysis play out for itself. But Euro NZD, Euro AUD, I'm looking bearish on it. GBP AUD, I think, is coming up to a really, really good trade opportunity. Let's take a look at it. I know a lot of us look at GBP AUD. There's multiple confluences coming into fruition. I can't really bother to do the higher time frames, but just imagine they are probably the most bearish higher time frames I've seen in a very, very long time. Monthly is extremely bearish. Weekly, we're looking at structure here. And so let's drop into the daily. We can see that we've had impulse leg to the downside. I'm not accounting for any of this. All right, because we gapped, wicked, and then continued, the equally weighted move here is from this wick high here to this base. From that wick high there to that base. And if we continue that momentum, we can see that the equally weighted move, again, similar height and size. So if we now take that at our next destination point, which is around about 0.8150, we can see that comes and fulfills around 1.770, okay? 1.770, but I favor 1.75. Quite clearly, 1.75, if you mark it up on your chart, is a very, very strong level. So GBP AUD, because the pound, I believe, is the weakest currency against the euro or the pound, and we will be looking for some further downside, especially with everything that's going on here. So let's look for a reaction. Let's look for the reaction. If we equally weighted the move of retracement here, from the low into the high, and we took it from the low into the high, can you see how that equally weighted move there, the market often repeats itself, is the same height and size as that current move there? That takes you directly into the 50%. So let's take that one or another layer. So you've got the higher time frames, very, very bearish. You've got the equally weighted moves suggesting areas to execute from. You've then got this descending trend line from point 1 to point 2. You've got the point 3. What numbers are highest probability of execution? Awesome. The third wave is our highest probability of execution, so you're looking for the downside momentum to occur there. What you've also got as well here we've got this EMA. You've got this EMA into play here. You've got the 50 EMA that is acting as a dynamic support and resistance for the pair, which is coming into fruition once again with the third touch of your trend line, which is coming into fruition with your Fibonacci levels as well, which is coming into an area that was recently acted as support, which is now broken, that needs to be retested as resistance. So we are now looking for anywhere between 1.85 and 1.82. That is your sell regions, okay? That is your sell regions. We are once again looking at a huge amount of pips. You could be looking around 70 to 80 pip stop on that, looking for around a 600 pip gain. Okay, you're looking for about 1 to 8 risk to reward ratio there. You could be making a lot of money on something like GBP, AED, EN, EA. There's a huge amount of opportunity there available, okay? So that's some of the currency pairs. We looked at the euro. We looked at some of the US dollar-based currency pairs. Anything else that I really like? Chief Japanese yen was something that I posted in John Dollar Trades as well. One of the last things I posted, so do take a look. We are basically playing out. There's nothing I can say about that. We stalled out for 3 or 4 days, but now we're playing out quite nicely. If you can see that's almost playing out to perfection. Good, that's playing out to perfection. So that is, I've got no more to be said on that. Oil is fundamentally bullish. Right? Any of you that are trying to sell oil, you're going against the trend there. Oil is fundamentally bullish. Is there entries on it? Not quite. Oil, we're going to have to look for it to make a high, which I think can formulate around 59.50, 59.30. And then if we can make that high around about 59.50, we could then utilize this as a 4-hour play. Okay, and take lower high into lower high into lower high test of around 58. All right, so I would be looking for executions around 58. Let's see if this thing can push up slightly higher. Then we can maybe drop in towards 58, which would come into confluence with also that third touch, also that 50 EMA on the 4-hour, and also that third trendline touch. And then we can be looking for a long position on this, which I'm not even going to put targets on. I'll put a stop on it of around about 50 pips. But in terms of actually a long bias, there's no end. There's no end on that. Okay, there's no end on that. Oil is fundamentally bullish. Okay, please remember that. If you're trying to sell it, I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but fundamentally, you're looking at oil being bullish, and therefore that is the setup that I will look for on oil if it can come into fruition. You've got lower high, lower high. You've got the third lower high drive there in alignment with the trend line, in alignment with the 4-hour fib, in alignment with the 50 EMA, and then there will be no take profit put on that. I will let that thing run if I get the opportunity to do it. And good. That is pretty much from me. Cool. Let's see what's going on. How's everyone doing? Was that good? People enjoy that. I felt good coming back to that as well, actually. Any questions so far? Please don't ask me to do any other currency pairs because I've just absolutely blasted about 45 minutes there. Gold's going to go long. Again, fundamentally, gold is long. So any of you trying to sell it, you're going against trend there. Perfect. Look out for the exotics. I think the exotics are a good bet. Let's see if we can take second passes at the highs on the exotics. I think that would be a really, really good opportunity. Look at I need a haircut ASAP. I need a haircut ASAP. Shout out to my boys, by the way. Justin, Supreme Saney, absolutely killing it. Well done on your event the other day. Ben, Ben, I'll see you later. I shouted you out earlier. You obviously joined too late. If you don't follow Ben already, do give Ben a follow. He's phenomenal. He's a very, very good trader. Running his own little thing going on at the moment. So do follow Ben. BS Apps, please pop back up again. Just let everyone know who you are. And Sunil, Sunil, I don't know if you're there. Maybe you're sleeping or not. But those three have been really influential in my trading last couple of days. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody. 6-3 India. Oh, was the cricket started? I'm going to go watch the cricket. All right, guys. I will catch you later. Not NFP. FOMC later on. 7 p.m. UK time. I don't know what that is in America right now. But 7 p.m. UK time. Make sure you're watching. I think the US dollar is going to fall. If it doesn't fall Wednesday, we've also got Thursday. If it doesn't fall Thursday, we've also got Friday. All right? Perfect. Keep a lookout for this. Team, I appreciate you all. I will save this if I know how. And then we can go from there. Peace.